Well, the time is just gone 10 minutes past 9 as we continue with the broadcast this morning. News and views, it is right here on Salam Media. We stay in the company of our Salam Media listeners, our viewers on the various platforms. One Nation, 88.9 FM out of Polokwane. We welcome you to the show. Now, still to come on the show, we will be focusing on 100 years of Eskom and also taking a look at the Wits University students' protest this morning and also looking at an issue and the question that is being asked is, are there big troubles that lie ahead for domestic workers in South Africa? But now we're going to focus here, on Eskom and 100 years of Eskom, and the name Hendrik Johannes van der Bijl actually stands out and regarded as one of the greatest South Africans for his contribution to the country's development. Now, he founded the Electricity Supply Commission, Eskom, in 1923. And since then, we've seen Eskom grow and grow to an extent the way under his guidance, it progressed from strength to strength. And within a short period of time, he was able to fulfill his promise. And South Africa was assured of inexpensive power and particularly for its fast growing industries. So, this was the contribution of Hendrik van der Bijl, and we've seen Eskom grow, except in the last, 10, 15 years, where we've seen the worst of Eskom starting to emerge. And unpacking all of this for us this morning is Ted Blom, energy expert. Ted, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
Yes, Ted, someone yesterday drew an analogy of Eskom as this 100-year-old man and going to the doctors and diagnosed by the wrong doctors as well, to the point where, there are broken bones and there's absolutely no hope from a recovery from this Eskom illness.
Yeah, that's very much like it. I called that ICU call in 2006 when I discovered massive corruption on the coal account. And I guess from there it just blossomed. And the rot stepped in 2001 when Eskom was converted from a non-profit to a for-profit company, and it fell from a government or autonomous organization headed by a council of stakeholders to the full control of the ANC government.
Well, I'm sure, someone like Hendrik van der Bijl must be turning in his grave to see what he had basically built, what his vision was, and what the power utility has actually turned out to be.
Yeah, I think the peak of Eskom was in 2001 when it won the Global Utility of the Year award in New York City for efficiency, availability, and for low cost electricity. And that was certainly the peak. And from there, it was just been downwards.
Yes, and as we speak right now, the utility has gone down from the darling to a disaster. And right now, we have absolutely no reason to celebrate 100 years.
Absolutely. In fact, it's still falling. I think the trajectory is still strong and growing, and the momentum for falling is growing every day, and that's why you're seeing NERSA and Eskom getting ready to extend the load shedding to stage 16.
Yes. Now, looking at where we are at this point in time, and looking at the government, looking at the SONA, the budget speech that was announced, looking at things like solar power rebates and all sorts of benefits. As we speak right now, and also against the background of the revelations that were made by Andre de Ruyter, what are your thoughts, Ted?
Well, look, I mean, I've been crying about the corruption inside Eskom in 2006. I was shown the door in 2008, despite having a 10-year contract extension to implement the coal strategy. Because Eskom, in the time that I've been away and sorting out, I was seconded to BHP Billiton, or Genco as it was known in those days, to fix up their coal contracts with Eskom, which were quite critical for them. And then Eskom called me back in 2006 to replan the roadmap to open up new coal collieries so that they don't sit with the coal problem. We put it together with the team. I was just a minor member of the team. We put together a roadmap to 2030, and that entailed that Eskom needed to open up 20 new collieries. Brian Damas boasted about it, went public and said he's going to open up 40 new collieries. The fact of the matter is today, no new collieries have been opened, and that's why we're sitting with a major, major problem on coal quality, and that leads into boiler tube leaks and all sorts of mill failures and all sorts of other things. I mean, just as an example, at Majuba Unit 6 in June last year, they had 198 breakdowns in 1 month on the mill. Now, if it takes you an hour to get to the mill from town, that means 198 hours of standstill time, and then you haven't even opened up anything and started fixing up and buying parts and so on. So effectively, out of 800 hours in a month, that mill and the boiler stood still, and that's happening all over the show. Besides, that's just on the coal quality, which should have been well under control. It used to be under control, and that's besides the so-called sabotage. When the writer first called sabotage, I called him out and said, no, man, it's not as bad as you're making it. But it has very, very quickly accelerated, and I now concur that there is active sabotage, and I've got independent verification of that. So, yeah, this is going from bad to worse. And the problem is that, under the writer, we had a person trying to serve two guards. Now, you will know that it's not possible to serve two guards. The one is a renewable guard, which has been pushed by the president and his brothers-in-law and the New World Order. And Biden posted that he's closing down Eskom's power stations early. And then he's got the other crowd who's saying, hang on, guys, renewable can only give you power for 4 hours a day without storage. So what the hell are we going to do for the other 20 hours a day? And that's the Gwedi Mantashe group. And I think logically, you might not like Gwedi. He might be a very brash old man, but the fact of the matter is he's got the facts under his belt. And without dispatchable available power like nuclear or fossil fuels or hydro in countries that have got a lot of water, there's no ways that you can run a primary energy economy, which has got mines and smelters and all sorts of other stuff. We're not London, where everybody sits behind a laptop with a battery backup, etc., etc. We're in the midst of dark Africa. There's still a lot of Africa that needs to be lightened up. And for us to think we can jump the gun must be the most naive thing under the sun. And that's the problem with appointing people. The Ministry of Energy or Electricity or whatever he's going to be called better be somebody who's au fait with what's going on, who's au fait with the landscape. And that's why I said it better not be a party, a cadre deployment or anything stupid like that. It's got to be somebody, an engineering background, at least as a minimum, if not an experience from the industry, 15 years minimum. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and you might as well switch the lights off and go.
Yes, and just looking at the ANC and its response to Andre de Ruyter, and we know that they've come out very, very strong to the extent that they are threatening some sort of action against him, and also looking at lawsuits and the like. And I mean, was this type of response expected, or also at the same time, the ANC not taking, or the government not taking accountability for some of these explosive allegations that have been made by Andre de Ruyter?
Yeah, so I mean, Andre, comes with a lot of baggage, which is now only surfaced after he was appointed, including being appointed through the back door. And I make that allegation discernedly. The fact of the matter is, I think there's somebody by the name of Sun Tzu. I don't know if you've come across him. And he says the most dangerous person is a person with his back to the wall because he can only come forward at you. And I think that's where the government and everybody underestimated De Ruyter. When he felt his life was under threat, either realistically or imaginarily, he had no alternative but to put his back to the wall. He's got a family, he's got stakes, and he's still a young man. And he could only come forward and start biting the way out and fighting the way out of the cage. So for me, it wasn't unexpected. I'm a student of Sun Tzu for more than 30 years, and that's what happens when you're in that position. So who will win that fight? Well, all I know is when the elephants start fighting, the grass gets trampled, and that's not a good prospect for you and me because we need to still live a day to day and plan a career for our kids and an economy for the future for our descendants. So where will this end? I guess the posturing will carry on for quite a while. I don't anticipate too much damage, other than peripheral damage. But the more important part is the damage will be in the collateral. It will be the fact that everything comes to a standstill while the big egos beat their chests and think they are Tarzan in the jungle. And we can't afford. We don't have the latitude because we got people closing jobs, losing jobs, closing companies on a daily basis. So I think the time now is to hold tight. If the government doesn't play a game, if they keep on doing the stupid stuff with cadre deployment, feeding it the troughs, etc., etc., if that nonsense isn't stopped, I'm going to call people out to the street, and we'll march and march and march until the walls of Jericho fall over.
Well, Ted, thank you very much for that and for taking time out this morning. I know you are at the doctor's this morning, but also, making time out and talking to us this morning. We wish you all the best and health wise and in every way whatsoever.
Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Ted Blom, energy expert with us this morning. We're going to go for a break. We'll be back.